Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I've got another video for you where we're going to be creating this email contact form for our websites, okay? So it's all set up to send mails to our either Gmail account or kind of any custom email address you want really. So just to show you it in action, I'll just use the classic example of Donald Trump. It's Don Trump at whitehouse.gov in the email. Subject can be test message. Hello from Donald Trump, like so. Spell that properly, and then if we submit this, you can see we get the confirmation that the email was sent. And then if I go to my Gmail account, come to our inbox, you can see here, so the time is now 1:09. There's the email received at 1:09. Come in here and we get the subject, which is message from Don Trump at whitehouse.gov, test message, and then the text there, okay? So we can get it working with Gmail. I'll also show you how to get it working with a custom email address. So just to show you, I've used temporary passwords for this video, and I've also created an actual account just for the purposes of this video, guys, okay? So if I just change this, we'll use my 123reg account now. So I have an email address called info@conorbailey.com. We'll just adjust who this is being sent to here. So I'm sending this to my info@conorbailey.com email now. We'll save that. If I come back, let's just do the same example again. So I'll say, no, let's do something different now. I'll use my partner's name, and we'll say nat@gmail.com. Say hello Connor. Hello Connor. How are you today? Okay, and then if I do send message now, see our email was sent again. If I come to my custom domain, email, sorry, if we refresh this, and you can see there's our new message come in. Just saying, hello Connor, how are you today? You can see from nat@gmail.com, and we get the subject there. Okay guys, this is how you just implement your own custom email contact form on your website. So I hope you enjoy, and let's get going. Cheers. Okay guys, so to get started with this project, you're going to need to have Node.js installed on your machine, okay? So if you haven't got that, just go to nodejs.org and just follow the relevant download instructions for your machine. I'm using a Mac OS here, but there's a Windows download available as well. We're going to be using Node just for our kind of back end, just to, you know, it's going to take our form data and then convert that into an email submission, okay? So let me just come out of this. What I've done here, I've got VS Code open. You can see I've just created a brand new folder here, and we're going to just make this from scratch. So to get a Node application up and running, if you just go to Terminal, New Terminal, and we're just going to install some dependencies here. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is do npm init -y, and we're using the -y just to do the default values. Okay, when we start our project, and you can see that's just created this package.json file. Going to just install two dependencies now. So if we just do npm I, and we're going to install express, and we're also going to install node mailer, okay, which is going to be used to, as I said before, send the mail from our form data that we collect in the back end. So let's just install those two. Okay, and then we just want to install one more dev dependency now. So we're going to say npm I, and we're going to say -D for dev, and then we're just going to say node mon, okay? And this is just a dev dependency which is used to refresh our server anytime we make a change to the code, so we don't have to go into the terminal and manually restart it every time we want to see the changes we've made, okay? So if we come to our package.json file, you can see we have our two dependencies here, express and node mailer, and you can also see we have the dev dependency node mon here installed. In the package.json file, we just need to adjust the scripts. So if we just say dev here, and then here, when we trigger this dev script, it's going to run the following command, which is nodemon server.js. Now we're going to create this server.js file in a second, but this nodemon is what we installed as a dev dependency, and this is what we're going to be using in development mode, just so our server refreshes automatically, okay? And we also want just a normal production script, which is just going to say start, and here do a colon, and that's just going to be kind of similar. We're just going to say node server.js. Okay, so that's our production script, and that's it for our package.json file. Now if we come into our kind of file directory here, I'm just going to create a new file called server.js, okay, like so. And the first one we need to do is bring in express, so we're going to say const express equals require express, like so. And then we're also just going to, under this, going to create an app. So we say const app equals, and we're going to use that express that we just brought in. Okay, so what this does, it's using this express, and this gives this app variable here access to all the express functions like get requests, post requests, listen, that kind of thing. Okay, and underneath this, we're going to create a port variable. We're going to say const port equals process.env.port, or we'll say 5000. Okay, so what this does, when we're in production, this port is going to be the environment variable port number. Okay. Otherwise, in development mode, we're saying here, use port 5000. Okay, and come underneath that, I'm just going to say app.get, and when we send a get request, we're going to first add the option of, well, this is going to be the argument for the root directory of our website. Okay, so we just do a single / here, and then we pass in the request and the response. Okay, and then here we just say res.send, and here we're just going to say hello for now, like so. And then finally, so when we send a get request to the root directory, it'll just send this text hello, okay, to the browser. And then finally, we want to just make our server listen on that port that we set up here. So in order to do that, we just say app.listen, and we're going to listen, pass in that port variable, and then we just do a callback function, which will log to the terminal. We'll say console.log, and we just say backticks here, server running on port, and here we just do a template literal and just say passing that port variable like so. Okay, so now if we just do npm run dev, which is, remember, is that script we set in this package.json file, which will trigger nodemon server.js. So this nodemon dependency will be running this server.js file. Okay, so let's do that now. Npm run dev, and you can see our server's running on port 5000. Now if we go to our browser, go to localhost port 5000, and you can see there's our hello rendered to the screen. So that's up and running now. Okay, now the next thing I want to do in our file directory, we're just going to create a folder called public. Okay, and this is going to host a bunch of static files we're going to be using for this project. Now in order to use these static files, we need to just add a bit of middleware. Okay, so we're going to say middleware here, and we're going to say underneath here, we're going to say app.use express.static. And here we're just going to place the file name which we're using to serve our static files, which in this case is going to be this public folder. Okay, so I just type public in there. And then, so if we come into our public folder, I'm just going to create a HTML file called contact form.html, like so. I'm also going to create our just a JS folder just to store our static JS files. We'll create a file in here called app.js. And then I'm also going to create within this public directory a CSS folder as well, just to store our styling files. So we'll say CSS, and then we'll create a file in here just called style.css, like so. Okay, so now I'm going to come into our contact form. Let's just get some boilerplate code up and running. HTML. In the title, I'm just going to say contact us, like so. And then coming into the body, we're going to say create a div called form container, form-container, and then within this we're going to create a form. Okay, and then we can take this action out. We don't need this action because what we're going to be with our form data, we're going to send it to the backend using Ajax. Okay, so it won't be the usual submit action form method up here. All I'm going to do is pass in a class here. We'll just say class, and I'm going to give it a class of contact form, like so. Then coming in the form, we're going to say a h2. I'm just going to say contact here, like so. And then underneath this, we'll say input. And the first input is going to be the full name of the person submitting the contact form. Okay, so I'll just say ID of name. And then after that, we'll just say placeholder. And we'll just say full name in there, like so. And then we'll come underneath this. The next input is going to be an email input. So we'll say type email. Again, change the name to email. And then we'll say placeholder as email as well, like so. And then come underneath this, we'll do another text input. And this is going to contain the subject of the message. Okay, so we'll say ID subject and placeholder is subject. And then finally underneath this, we want to add a text area next. This is going to be the body of our message we want to send. So we'll say here I'll actually take the name out. Don't need a name in there. Just give this an ID of message, and we'll just say placeholder message as well, like so. So let's just come back to our server for a second, because now we want to send this contact form HTML file when we visit this root directory of our site. Okay, so I'm just going to change this res.send to res.send file, and here the first argument it takes in is we need to just add the path to the this contact form HTML file. So we first need to add dir name, _dir name. Okay, that gets the current directory we're in. And then after this, we can just concatenate this with the full path, the rest of the path. So from the directory we're currently in, we want to go to the public folder and then to this contact.html. So I just say /public here, and then /contact form.html, like so. And now, if we come back to our browser and refresh, you can see our contact form is rendered to the page. This looks a bit weird at the moment, so I just want to make a few adjustments in the HTML. I'm going to come after each input here and just add a break, like so, okay? Break line element here. And let's just do that after the text area as well. And now if we refresh, you can see they're all nicely situated underneath each other now. One thing we're missing actually is the final thing, which is a submit button. So we'll say submit here, and then I'm going to say class, we'll give this a class of submit, and then we'll just say value, and that's going to equal send message, like so. So now we should have our button, and there it is. Okay, so that's pretty much it. We just need to add a couple more things. So I'm just going to quickly go into our style.css, and I just want to link this up to our contact form.html. So here I'm just going to just say background color of red for now. Don't worry, we will change this. And then if we come to our contact form, in here, in the head section, I'm going to say link, and then we're just going to link to that style.css. So all we have to do here is just say /css/style.css. Okay, and then if we come to our server, we just need to add one more piece of middleware. Oh no, we don't, sorry, not for now. What happens is here, we can just say /css as Express will know to search for this in the public folder, okay, in this public folder created here, because we're using this piece of middleware called static, Express static, so it knows to apply all these static files by referencing here like this in our HTML file. Okay, so if I refresh this now, you can see our background's red. Okay, and then finally, let's just do a script source, and here we're going to link to this this JS file here. So here we can just say /JS for this JS folder, and then we can say app.js, like so. Okay, and then if we come in here for now, just do console.log hello, like so. And then if we refresh, go to the console, you can see our hello is there in the console. Okay, so I just want to change that font as well. Let's just get some Google fonts on the go just to make it look a bit better. Google font Poppins. And then I've just taken this regular 400 version. We'll select that style, get these link tags here. We'll put these in our head section as well, like so. And then also we need to set that CSS selector here. And then we'll put that in our main global settings as well. I'm also going to just adjust the margin to 0, padding 0, and box sizing of border box, okay, for our global settings. So now if we refresh, you can see our font's applied and we get none of the default margins anymore. So that's all working. Okay, so that's pretty much it for our contact form.html. Next thing we want to do is work on our app.js file, okay? So the front end, we want to actually no, let's do the CSS first. Let's get the CSS tidied up just so our form looks nice. Let's do that. Okay, so if we come to style.css, underneath the global settings, I just want to adjust. Let's make this a bit bigger so it takes up half the window. Okay, I just want to adjust the HTML and the body elements, just set the background color to this F4, which is kind of a light gray. And then come underneath this, we're going to select our form container, okay, and we're going to position that relative, and we want 20% left from the screen, a width of 60%, and then a height of 100 viewport height, just so it fills the screen vertically, and then we're going to give this a background color of white, okay. So now you can see, kind of get that sort of styling effect there going. Then underneath that, let's select our contact form. Come underneath here, say contact form. We're going to position this absolute to the parent container, which is this white section. We want it 10% from the top, 10% from the left, give it a bit of white space. We're going to give it a width of 80% of this white container here, and then a height of 600 pixels. Okay, so now you can see when we refresh, we get that kind of nice white space. And then underneath this, we're going to next select our input element and our text area element, which is these parts here, okay? So if we just do a width of 100% of the container, so this 80%, so all these will fill out now. And then we have a margin top just of 2 rem, just to space these input boxes out. And then we'll have a border of none, just to remove this default black border. And then we'll just apply a black border bottom to each element, okay? So just to show you how that looks now, you can see we get a nice spacing and we get the kind of borders. Okay, so that's looking better. And then finally, what we want to do is just adjust that submit button. Okay, so the submit, I've just selected the dot submit here. We're saying border 1px solid black, padding of 1 rem, aligning the text to the center, background color of white, cursor pointer. And then when we hover our button, we just want the opacity to go 0.6 just to make it a bit see-through. Okay, so now if we refresh, you can see our changes have been applied. So that's our form. Okay, and now coming into our app.js file, the first we need to do here is select our contact form. Okay, I'm going to remove this console log. We'll say const contact form equals, and we're going to say document dot query selector, and then we'll say dot contact hyphen form, like so. Okay, and then come underneath this, just going to add an event listener to this form now. We're going to say contact form dot add event listener, and here we want to listen for the submit event. Okay, and that's when this button down here is clicked. Okay, so once that's clicked, just do a comma, and then we'll callback function. We'll say pass in the events list function, and then in here we're going to say e.prevent default. Okay, and what this does, usually the default behavior when a form is submitted is it will refresh the page, okay, or it will change the location of the page. So this e.prevent default prevents that, okay, because we're going to be sending our data via Ajax as opposed to doing the usual form submission method. Okay, so this will all work in the background, and then we won't have to do any kind of page refreshing or page reloading. So that's the benefits of Ajax. Okay, and then here, let's just make sure this is working. We can say console.log submit clicked, like so. So now if we refresh this, come to our console in the browser, and then if I go to the console here, press submit, you can see we get that submit clicked. Okay, so that's all working. Now, come underneath this, we don't need that console log anymore, we can delete that. I'm just going to select the input elements, okay? So what we're saying here is, actually we can take this, we can put this at the top actually. I'll put these out of the function. So here I'm going to say let name equals document.getElement by ID, name. Just remember, come here, you can see our name input has the ID of name, the email input has the ID of email, subject has the ID of subject, and our message has the ID of message. So that's what we're doing here, we're just selecting those elements, okay, name, email, subject, message, and we're using the document.getElement by ID method and just passing in the names there. Okay, so now what we can do after this is we're just going to say let form data equal, and we're going to create a JavaScript object, and here we're going to say name first, and that's going to be name.value, okay, like so, and then we can say email, and that's going to be email.value, like so, and then we're going to say subject, and that's going to be subject.value, and then finally we're going to say message, and that's going to be message.value. Okay, so now if we come underneath here, and if we just console.log that form data, just to make sure we're getting the required fields. So now if we refresh this, if I just type in my favorite Donald Trump, and then we'll just do a fake address here, and then we'll say test message, and then we'll just say message. We'll just say, yeah, text, whatever, put whatever you want. And then if we come here, press send message, if we go to the console, you can see we get our form data there logged in that kind of JavaScript object. Okay, so we have our name, Donald Trump, email, Donald Trump, White House, message text, and we have our subject, which is test message. That's all picking up great. Now what we need to do with this data is obviously send it to our back end or our Express, our Node server, just to process this and then send this via email to our relevant email address. Okay, so we're going to be using Ajax to send this data, as I said before. So let's get that up and running now. Coming back to our submit function, we're going to say let xhr equal new XML HTTP request. Okay, so we're creating a new XML HTTP request instance here. And then this comes with a bunch of methods. Okay, so we're saying xhr.open first. And here this takes in 2 arguments. Okay, this takes in the method we're going to be using. So in this case, we're going to be using the post method. Okay, like so, because we're going to be posting this data to our back end. Okay, and then the second argument this takes in is the URL we want to post to. So we're just going to pass this to our root directory for now. So we're just passing this hyphen. Okay, / sorry, not hyphen, like so. And then come underneath here, we're just going to do another method called xhr.setRequestHeader. And here we want to set the content type header, okay? And we want to set this to application / JSON, like so, because we're going to be sending this object, and it's obviously the best way to send this object is via JSON format, okay? So we're going to convert this into JSON to send. Okay, and then, by the way, guys, this XHR method is kind of an old school way of doing it. You could use the fetch API, but I kind of like this way. I prefer doing it this way. Okay, so after this, we're just going to say xhr.onload, okay? And this function will trigger once we receive a response from our backend, okay? So we'll say that equals the function, like so, and then I don't need 2 equals in there. And in here, we're just going to basically say console.log xhr.response text. Okay, that will log the response received from the server. And in here, we're just going to do an if statement. We'll say if xhr.response text equals success. Okay, we'll pass that back if our email is successfully sent. We'll say alert, and we'll just say email sent. And then what we want to do after that is just say name.value equals empty string, email.value equals empty string, subject.value equals empty string, and message.value equals empty string, like so, okay? And then obviously what that will do, that will just clear this form, okay, once we receive a response. So it will just delete all this text. We have a nice blank form to work with, okay? And then underneath this, we can just say else alert something went wrong, just to let the user know that the email wasn't sent, okay? And then the last thing we need to do underneath this is just do our send method, okay? So we want to be able to send this data to the back end. So we'll just say xhr.send, and here we'll just say we want to obviously pass this form data which we create up here, okay? So we'll say in here form data. Now we can't send a JSON object to the back end like this, okay? It has to be sent in string format. So we have this method, so we can say JSON dot stringify, okay, and then we can wrap that form data in this JSON.stringify method, okay? And that's pretty much it for our front end JavaScript, okay? Now we just need to adjust our server.js file just to be able to receive this information. And in order to do that, we need to add a piece of middleware. So we're going to say underneath here app.use, and we're going to say express.json, like so, okay? And then, so once that's done, we can now, let's just create another route. We need to create a post route for this route now. Okay, so we're going to say app.post, and then here we're going to post to this route, and then here we're going to say request response. Okay, now in this route, I just want a console log. That should be a comma. I just want a console.log the request.body. Okay, and remember, as we're sending this data from the front end in a JSON format, you can see in our app.js we use this application.json content type. Our server, as we're using this piece of middleware now, express.json, our server will be able to read that JSON in the request.body. Okay, so if we refresh this, then I'll just pass in my name for now, conbailey@gmail, test message, hello all. Then we send that. You can see we get our data. We get our data passed back to our server now. So we have our name, Conor Bailey, and our message. Okay, so that's great. We can read that. Next thing we need to do with this data is obviously use NodeMailer next to send it to our. We're going to start with a Gmail account, and then I'll show you how to do it with a custom email account as well. Okay, so let's just, we'll come underneath this console.log here, and I'm going to say here const transporter equals, and we'll say NodeMailer. Oh, we need to bring in NodeMailer first as well. Sorry guys. So in order to do that, we just come to the top of our server.js file and just say here const NodeMailer equals require NodeMailer. Okay, like so. And now we can say here const transporter equals NodeMailer, and then we're going to say .create transport. Okay. And what this does is this is a method we use just to pass in our kind of actual email details, which we're going to be using to send the email. Okay, so here we'll say open bracket, and this takes in an object. First one we need to add is the service we're using. So in this case, I'm just going to say service is Gmail. I'm going to use my Gmail account, and then underneath this we're going to say auth, and this is just going to take in our authorization credentials. Okay. So that's another object, and here the first thing I'll say is user, and that's going to be my email address. Now I did set up just a test email address just for the purposes of this video. Okay, so I will change the password after, but I don't mind showing it for now for this video. Okay, so my email I'm using is conor.nodemailtest@gmail.com. I'll create an auth, password. So we'd say pass here, and then just type in your password. In this case, I'm just using password 0101, like so. Okay, it's not very secure. If you was doing this in a live production app, you'd want to store this in environment variables so no one can access this, but I won't be showing that in this video, okay, just for simplicity. Okay, so that's it for our transporter. Next thing we want to do underneath this is just say const mail options, okay? So we'll say const mail options, like so, and that's going to equal another object, and in here we'll pass in like basically who the email's from, who it's going to, the subject, and the actual message as well. So we'll say from first, okay, and remember this is going to be, so in our request.body you can see we have these fields here. So the from field is going to be request.body.email, which will pass in this email here, which the user would pass in on the form. Okay, so we'll say request.body.email, like so, and then underneath this we'll say to, and this would be kind of the email address that you want the form submission to be sent to. Okay, so in this case I'm just going to use the same email I stated up here, which is Conor node mail test. So we'll just say that for now, like so, and then kind of underneath this we'll say subject. Okay, and in here I'm just going to create I'm going to do backticks, okay, and then I'm just going to say here message from request.body.email colon, and then I'm going to pass the request.body.subject, okay, and these two are both passed in with template literals, like so. Okay, and then after that I'm just simply going to say text. That's the bulk of our message, and here I'll just say request.body.message, like so. Okay. And then finally, the last method we need to do to get this email sent is we're going to say transporter.sendMail. Okay. And this takes in the mail options, which we created here. Okay. And then it takes in a callback, which it's either an error or we get the sending info. Okay. So in here, I'm going to say if error, then we can say console.log the error first thing. And then underneath that, we'll just say res.send error, like so. And then else, we'll say console.log. And then I can say here, just copy this over to make it quicker. Say email sent, and then just provide the info.response text, okay, or the response. And then underneath that, I just want to send a success. Res.send the text success, okay? So now if we come back here, if we just type in these details again, so I'll say, actually let's use a Donald Trump. I'll say Donald Trump. Do this fake White House email. We'll say test message from Donald. Okay, and then if we send that, you can see we get this in here, and then you can see here we get the details that the message was sent. Okay, and you can see here we get this alert saying the email was sent. Okay, as we're sending that success message back to our front end. And you remember we said here, if the xhr.response text equals success, then we can alert the user the email was sent, and then when we press OK, you can see the values have been cleared. Now let's check our Gmail account. If I go to, you can see I'm logged in as this node mail test already. I just go to gmail.com. Okay, and then you can see here 12:53, which is 1 minute ago, we get our email, message from Donald. You can see our subject is message from Donald Trump at whitehouse.gov, test message. Okay, so that's it. That's our node mailer working for Gmail. Also, if this isn't working for you, let me just go to the node mailer website. If this isn't working for you, you may need to just adjust your Gmail settings. Okay, they do say it's kind of it's quite tricky. Sometimes Gmail do block these kinds of emails. So what you have to do here is you'll come to this link, and then you'll have to just the default option is allow less secure apps off. You'll just have to turn this on, okay, and then you should be able to start receiving emails once you've allowed less secure apps to email your account. Okay, so that's just something to think about. Now that's it for our Gmail. Okay, the next thing I want to do is just show you how to do this with, I have my own custom domain name. Okay, so let me just go into that now. I have let's just go to 123reg. I have a custom domain name registered at this 123reg.co.uk. So if we just make this bigger, let's log in here. Go to my control panel. Go to my email. I have this email called info@conorbailey.com. And I've just set a temporary password for now as well, just to show you how this works. Let me just delete these, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come to my server.js file, and all we need to do, if you're using a different kind of service, we just need to change this transporter, okay? So in order to use my 123reg email, I'm just going to comment this out, this Gmail setting, and then if you come underneath here, okay, so I've just added another transporter here, and you can see I'm just using the host for this 123reg, okay? So I'm using this 123reg service, and the host is this smtp.123reg.co.uk. I had to use the port 587. This was stipulated on their website as the port to use, and then I've just passed in my auth details again. So this is just info@conorbailey.com, and I've just set a temporary password for the sake of this video, which I will be changing after. Okay, so now if we save that, if I come back to my app, let's just refresh this. Okay, let's type in another name. We'll just say, which is my girlfriend's name, Natasha Svetikhanin. Okay, nat@gmail.com, and we'll just say hello Connor, and then we'll just say hello, how are you, like so. If we send that, you can see our email was sent, and then if I come to my emails here, refresh, okay, so that doesn't appear to have worked. Let's just see what's going on there. Should have worked. It's because, sorry, I forgot to change it in my mail options. I need to change this email as well. That should have gone to my Gmail account. Yeah. Yeah, sorry guys, I need to just change this password, this email down here as well. Let's just change that to info@conorbailey.com. I don't want it to go to my Gmail account. Okay, let's try that again. So if we come back to our contact form, we'll just do the same thing as before. We'll say nat@gmail.com. Hello Connor. Hello. How are you? Send that. See, that's been sent. Now if we come back to our inbox, you can see there's our message appear there. Okay, if we open that, you can see here we get the actual email it's been sent from, nat@gmail.com, and to info. Okay, and there's the message. Okay, so that's pretty much how you use the node meta dependency, guys, and how you can create these kind of email submission forms in your websites. I hope you found this video useful. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop me a comment or a message, and I'll try my best to answer. But yeah, thanks again guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.